Melanie McDaniel, we're live.
We are live.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
We've already had a fascinating discussion in the last 10 minutes. I cannot wait to dive in as I'm trying to fix some technical things here. So, okay, you have a fund. You're traveling the country and the world. And you live in Austin. You're building a house in Austin.
Yep.
But right now you're in Boise, Idaho.
Correct.
So let's back up. And by the way, thank you for serving. You're a Navy veteran.
I am.
So you just celebrated Memorial Day. I hope everyone that knows you thanked you. We're thanking you here for your service.
Yes. I'm thank you for thanking me. Actually, Sunday, to celebrate, I took a day of silence. It was a digital detox. Silence. Like, I don't get to speak. I didn't get to read. No podcast. Nothing coming in. I literally just had to be bored all day. I mean, it can be boring, or you could use the time for, going inside and listening to what needed to come in. So that is how I celebrated Memorial Day weekend.
So did you walk?
Yeah, I went on 2 walks. And then I fasted, which I did break my fast at 7:30 out of boredom. I was so bored. I'm like, I'm just going to eat. Like, I was so bored. It's very exciting.
From what time to what time was the silence?
All day, like from Saturday night, turned off my phone, went to bed. And then Monday morning is when I turned on my phone.
So have you ever heard of the Camino de Santiago? No. It is a pilgrimage it's 500 miles. They say it in kilometers. I haven't figured that out yet. From the north of France to Santiago, Spain. And I'm planning to do that next summer, 500 miles. Now, there will be parts of it where I'll be with other pilgrims that I'll meet along the path, but a lot of it will be just walking in silence. And of course, you can have the dreaded, when you're in Europe, that doesn't work always, especially when you're in the middle of nowhere. So,
right.
So I am looking forward to that. So I'm fascinated that you did it. I guess I should probably practice it while I'm here in the US.
I mean, I think everybody should practice it. It's amazing how addicted you are. And, the phone, we already know that there's an addiction there. But I am addicted to reading and learning. I have courses I'm taking. I love listening to podcasts. Like, I won't even go for a walk without a podcast. Like, I never spend time in silence. So to spend a whole day, I was literally just sitting outside staring into the bushes for hours. Because what else do you do? There's only so much you can stretch and do yoga and go for walks the rest of the time, and eating. If I was allowing myself to eat, I would have probably just been eating all day out of boredom. Oh
my gosh. Well, so ladies and gentlemen, mostly ladies, but some gentlemen, this is who Melanie is. Okay. So let's back up to, when did you start the investment journey?
So my background is military and then law enforcement. I was a park ranger for 9 years. In 2015, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I kind of realized I got sold the short end of the stick. I had been trading my time for money, and I was wearing a bulletproof vest to work every day to make not so much money. So it took me about 2 years to kind of shift the mindset, get prepared to make the shift. And then I actually did the Rich Dad, Poor Dad coaching program, $27,000 program, right? So, which a lot of us often do, put it all on a credit card, got my knowledge, and then decided, I quit the federal job, and to my dad's horror, which on this last journey, we finally got to put a closure on that. I expressed to him how unsupportive and how hard, it was traumatic. His response, he told me, don't do something stupid like quit your federal job. And then when I did, he's like, well, don't come calling me for money. I'm like, I've never called you for money. Why would I start now? Anyway, that was my dad being supportive, right? So I used his negative support as fuel. But anyway, I started out as a real estate agent. I moved from California to Virginia because I had a boyfriend at the time who got orders, and I ended up going. So not only is it a new career path, it's a new place with no one I know. I mean, it was the scariest thing I've ever done, probably. Very scary. and I became a real estate agent. But because I had all this knowledge of working with investors, I was successful pretty quickly. So I made 3 times my money in the first full 12-month cycle of that federal job. And I didn't have to wear 3 guns, a taser, a radio to work and drive a patrol car and wear a uniform with a bulletproof vest. I didn't even have to do that. And I made a lot of money.
How old were you?
This was only 2017. And how old am I now? Like 35 or whatever, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah, that's about right. And then I had this like thing. I wanted to go nomadic. So I'm a Sagittarius. Sagittariuses are minimalists. We don't like to be rooted down. We're like a fart in a whirlwind, I would say. And that was me. I really wanted to travel. I have this huge travel bug. That's why I joined the Navy, because I think my chances of travel were much higher. That's why I chose the Navy, which was true. My first duty station was in Italy. So way to go, me.
That's amazing.
17 years old, figuring that one out and picking that. So thank you, me. And then I'm like, I can't go nomadic. I can't travel. I could hardly travel just as a real estate agent just to go to Spain for 2 weeks. Like, you're just constantly working 24/7. It seems like when people are buying their houses, they think that that's all you ever do, right? So they're calling me at 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, really? Do people call their bankers or their grocery store bag checker guy? I don't think so. Like, anyway, in real estate, I'm like, this is not sustainable for the lifestyle I want. Money's great. And I've shifted a lot from, I want to make a bunch of money now to, oh, my lifestyle matters a lot more than how much money I make. My freedom matters a lot more. My choice of where to be and who to hang out with. Anyway, so I'm like, well, how can I wanted to go bigger. The real estate agent thing was just always the stepping stone. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy apartments. So I did Michael Blank's coaching program, another $20,000.
I have done coaching programs too. The last one I did a mastermind. It was 31,000, and I was sharing that at my conference last year, and you could see the women in the audience's mouth drop. What? So yeah, thank you for sharing.
It's a lot of money. I mean, I've spent more money even on other dumber stuff. Like a course launching program for $9,800. I just must love to piss money away. Anyway, I don't like that word, piss. I don't know why I said it. Anyway, so I started learning how to buy apartments, and I did buy my first apartment with 2 partners. We did a joint venture. It wasn't a syndication. And I found the deal, and my partner, he put in most of the money. So I was and then the other third partner, I just brought him in because he was my partner with the Michael Blank stuff. And we said we'd do our first deal together, though he didn't really do anything. He got to come in and take some of the equity, but I think my position was only 5%. But that apartment that we closed on in January of 2020, when the C word started happening, we were a Class C building, not stabilized. And it turns out the seller had put a bunch of junk tenants in there. Let's just say that those 2 years, we had some negative, it was just not fun, but we did get an offer we couldn't refuse in 2022, sold it, and my little 5% position was worth $90,000.
Awesome. So, and wait, did you put no money in, or you put a little money? No.
Well, we had a capital call at some point. I think I put like $1,200 in at some point.
Amazing. And that was your first like big investment deal? My
first apartment, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what? Then what'd you do? What'd you do with the 90?
I invested some in an industrial deal. I think I lived off some. I don't even remember.
You bought another coaching program?
No, I don't think so. Some marketing stuff, some business stuff. I did do it wasn't a coaching program, but it was a very expensive. The real estate guys, I went to Belize on their trip, and that was like $8,000. So it might as well have been a coaching program. Yeah, the money I lived on a bit because I had launched a fund in 2020. So after the real estate,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, after the real estate agent thing, I realized of the apartment buying process, I didn't like most of it. I didn't like acquisitions. I didn't like asset management, and I just like people and networking and talking. Like, I like the money. Okay, I want the money to make the money. So I was just like, how do I just raise capital? Right? You can't just get paid to raise capital. So that first year,
but you can now, right? Now there are people that are fundraisers as part of syndications, and they get paid a piece to fundraise.
Well, there are ways around it, but you can't, unless you're a broker dealer and have a license, you can't just get paid. Oh, you brought in 500 grand. Here's your check. Bye. You have to do some sort of co-GP, or in my case, a fund. So I can raise capital all day, and my fund can invest in a deal, and I can work out, fees and things to get paid.
Yeah.
So, at first, though, I didn't know about funds. I didn't think to launch one. I was just trying to find good co-GP partners to partner with. And my main role would be raising capital and working with investors and investor relations, whatever, the stuff they teach us, right, to get around those security laws, which are real. So people need to know what they're doing when they're doing this stuff. And in 2020, I really didn't do too much because of the economy doing its thing. By 2021, I kind of realized that just wasn't going to work, especially because I've never proven myself as a capital raiser, right? Mm-hmm. How much money can you raise, Melanie? I'm like, I don't know. What? Give me a shot. We'll see. Nobody wants to work with me. So it's fine. My first deal, I ended up doing an SPV, a single purpose vehicle, or SPE, single purpose entity. So it is a fund, but it's its own single entity. So we raised capital in the fund, and then that fund invested in a deal. And we also negotiated some co-GP shares and some other stuff. So we did kind of get paid, but our little fund, which is still alive to this day, is its own entity.
And how many, were there more than, are there co-GPs in this fund?
I do have partners in the fund. We did 950,000, and we had to stay under a certain amount because we couldn't be more than 20% of the investment. I raised 650,000 of it.
How'd you do that? How did you do that?
I don't know.
Friends and family?
Well, actually, when I was a real estate agent, when I was working with investors, I held a meetup, and I just built this huge database of people because I served them. I provided value to them. And many of them never used me as an agent, but they followed me, they watched me. And then when I got into the bigger real estate stuff, I had built the trust. And so most of the investors, if not all of them, were from the work I had already done as an agent. And
how many meetups did you have?
I had a monthly meetup. And as an agent, I would bring in title companies or lenders or construction guys or just whatever
education. People to educate.
Free education.
So did you have, like, did you do it over 2 years? Did you do 8, 12, 15, 20?
It was 2 years and maybe a month or two.
Okay. So 24 meetups, more or less.
Yeah.
And when you said they followed you, were you on Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah. When I started all of this, I was really big into, and people should be, right? Especially if you're starting out, having the funnel, putting out free content and providing value and sounding smart, all of that stuff, right? I had LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Those were my main ones. I have a YouTube channel, which I probably need to just go and remove all those old videos, because now I'm like, what was I talking about? I don't know what I was talking about. Just to be honest, like, I have had a complete identity shift, and I feel very inauthentic now doing all of that stuff. In fact, currently, if you go to Freestyle Capital Group, and I have my website, I've done a website revamp since I started. It started out very gray and corporate feeling. Now it's all colorful and travel-y. But even now, I'm just like, I personally am not the kind of person that wants to go blast out stuff to the masses anymore. I don't. I want to connect with people. I want to know every single investor. I want to know where every hard-earned dollar came from that's being invested in my care. I find it to be a big responsibility and a big karmic connection that you have with people and their money. So yeah, I mean, people trickle in, I guess, because I still have that platform out there. I post stuff once in a while, but not like I used to. So what I used to do is, have a schedule. I'd have buffer, posting stuff, reposting stuff, doing all the things that they tell us to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Business gets done that way. But for me, it feels very inauthentic now.
Well, I think most of the people that follow this Women Investor Wednesday platform and series are people that are doing it the way you want to do it now. There are women that post, but they don't do funnels. They don't even know what funnels are. So that's not my group. My group is like, I don't even have funnels. I just post when I want to post, when I feel like, oh, this is interesting that happened today. Let me just put this out there. So you're in the right place.
Good. I feel like with AI now, especially moving forward, we're not going to know what the truth is. And I feel like knowing how to connect on a human to human basis, those are the people who are going to thrive. Because when we start seeing, I'm just an AI, this isn't really Melanie, we're just having this conversation, you're not even real. And now like we've lost meaning, we've lost connection. So I feel like the people who are going to thrive in this business are the people who can connect. And then my business now grows strictly from referrals. It's very rare that I get some rando from the internet that invests with me. Across all of my investors, there might be 2. Seriously. These are all people I've known or that have been referred to me.
Yeah, this fund model where people can invest, where you can post on LinkedIn and say, hey, I have a deal, and some stranger, that's just not my world. Everyone that's ever invested with me, and I don't do a fund, I just do syndications deal by deal. I know everyone.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there was a guy a couple of days ago on Twitter that said, hey, I want to invest. Do you take investors? And I say, yes, family and friends. He goes, well, I want to be on the list. I go, well, we'll have to meet first.
Nice.
Because, right. So, but are you, I just jump ahead now because you're traveling the country. You have a couple funds, right? You have 50 or so investors. So you don't see yourself doing another fund going forward? You're going to just happily do. So let's talk about fund 2, the second fund.
So the second fund is the big fund. The first one was just that single entity deal. And then after I had done that one, I did a couple co-GP deals, industrial and assisted living. And then I realized the cheapest way is to create a fund that I can reuse. So Avestor is a company that maybe people have heard about. They have a customizable fund. So it's kind of like Robinhood for stocks, but it's Robinhood for real estate. So I have 1 PPM, I have 1 operating agreement, and 1 subscription agreement with a deal disclosure that is kind of like a mini subscription agreement that tells me which deal they want their fund in. All the deals inside my fund are stovepiped. They share the expenses across the board, but I only had to pay for those legal docs 1 time. It's like 20 grand every time you do a syndication, right?
Yeah.
I paid that once. And because I was the third fund in Avestor, I actually didn't pay 20 grand. I paid a lot less. But now they have 150 funds in their platform. So they're paying that 20, 25 grand or whatever. But I don't have to pay that again. So my fund is very lean in expenses. And I keep reusing those same documents for every new deal that comes in. So they're like mini syndications. The deals I'm investing in, some are syndications, some are joint ventures, some are notes. I can be very creative with how my fund negotiates with other deals. So I'm not restricted to syndications. I can literally raise capital for somebody that has a deal. We don't even have to, it can just be a joint venture. It could be a simple joint venture or a note. So it's very flexible.
So are you continually raising money for the fund, or did you raise the fund? It's a certain number and now it's all put out, or how does it work?
I raise per deal, just like it's an individual deal. And someone will say, I want to be in that note, I want to be in that storage deal, and I want to be in that industrial deal. And they're not in the multifamily, and they're not in this other note. They're not in the development. They're only in the ones they choose. So every time I have a deal, I have to go raise the money.
Got it.
Yeah,
so I saw on LinkedIn that you found a new asset class I had never heard of before. Car condos.
Oh, the car condos. Yeah. I ended up only putting 1 investor in. So I ended up not putting in the fund because people, they don't like new shiny things, right? One guy was a car guy and got it, but yeah, car condos. So these guys, they're selling out the car condos because it's for build to sell, right? It's not build to rent, it's build to sell. They would sell out before they'd even start construction. And I just couldn't get my investors to get excited about that. It's like, everything's sold and they haven't even put a shovel in the ground yet. It was
What city was that?
Dallas. Well, it was a portfolio. There were going to be 4 deals in this one fund.
Are they vertical? Or how is a car condo? What is it like physically?
Think of like just a warehouse or a storage unit, basically,
Okay.
but just with really big doors. They're only, I mean, the inside there might be a what are they called? What's the word? A
Like,
mezzanine. There might
yeah,
be a half a mezzanine, some stairs upstairs and an office, but downstairs is where they park their fancy cars and their pool table and their beer fridge or whatever. Like it's totally a dude sort of thing. Think of like hangars.
how much are
airplane
they?
hangars.
How much are they selling for these car condos?
They were like 500,000, 750,000. But
And
if somebody needs a house for their car, the car condo probably doesn't have even a price, right? They just want to be part of a cool kids club. It has its own HOA. They have their own little parties. And everybody in there has to be rich. So of course, why wouldn't you want to hang out there? It's definitely not an asset class for the average Joe.
Okay, so that's cool. So I loved reading. I was like, I have to ask her about this. Okay, so are you actively looking for new? So you have deals that the fund has invested in, and are you running the deals? Are you the operator of those deals? Other people are the operators.
The only ones I operate are the notes, right? But I'm not operating anything. I've done a note. So no, it's a fund of funds. So my fund invests in other people's deals. But
So
there's nothing.
if I was raising money to buy a shopping center and I called you and say, okay, I'm raising money I'm raising $4 million. Do you have $1 million? This is the deal. You like the deal. It looks like can you go and say, hey, my friend is buying a shopping center. Do we want to put our fund into her deal? Can that happen or no?
Yeah. I mean, I just have one other partner. So we look at the deal. We do all the due diligence. We do, my partner is more on the back end numbers guy. That's his specialty. And I'm on the front end negotiating acquisition fees, negotiating whatever. And then, we'll say, hey, we'll do, carve us out 500. And then I take the deal. I go present it to my investors. They do their soft commits and I have them fill out their deal disclosure where I disclose all my fees, how I'm getting paid and any fees that they're being charged. And then once they sign that, they can wire their money into my fund. And then when we have all the 500K in there, we send R1 check and I sign on behalf of the fund for if it's a PPM or something, I'm signing those docs. So the investors are investing in my fund.
Right.
They're not investing in the deal.
Right. I gotcha. And what fees do you charge?
So every deal is done differently. At a minimum, I do charge fund cost fees, not fund asset management, fund management, just fund cost. Like I have to pay my attorneys to do reviews of legal docs. I have to pay my CPA. The platform costs money. So I average I'm hitting about a 0.62 annualized. I estimate 0.75 for them. So all the deals will have that. But if I can negotiate with the sponsor to pay me an acquisition fee or an origination fee, and I don't need to take any of it for my investors, then they can just have a pure investment. But sometimes the deal is so good and they're not going to negotiate with me, but like, we're doing it anyway. I'll do like a waterfall inside my fund. You guys get the first 8%, 70-30 split. I take the 30% on the back end. So I am taking a chance and I'm not getting paid till the end on some of those. I've had a couple where I've charged a 0.5% asset management fee just because it just every deal is different. And that's what the deal disclosure form tells them. This is how I'm getting paid. So they know what their fees are up front. So there is a little bit of dilution because, a syndication is diluting investors. Now the fund has its costs, but I don't want to work for free. And I definitely don't want it to cost me any money to work. So I do have to charge these fees to the investors, but I always put myself in the shoes of my investor. I'm very lean. I'm super cheap when it comes to like shopping stuff and not spending too much money. In fact, when I travel, I don't even charge. I pay for it. Melanie pays for her hotel and her car and whatever, but I'm working on behalf of the fund. But I always think of myself as if I were an investor and I knew how Melanie was spending the money, would that make me feel good? So I just try to honor my investors and I'm just very lean on my expenses. So
and do you put money in the deals? Like if the fund decided that it was going to invest 500 in my deal, would you put money in that?
I would, but I don't have like a set because I don't always just have 50 grand laying around to put in every deal I do. So I put it in when I can. Sometimes instead of taking fees, I'll roll it in too. So I mean, I think it's important for you to invest in the deals But
How
sometimes
often do people just bring you deals, or are like now that you're traveling, are you, I know you have all of these active projects and assets, but are you looking to not add more deals into the fund?
So my fund is set up to be evergreen and can last forever. So I could just be rolling in deals all the time, but just where we are in the economy, it's very hard to raise
Very
capital right now. I don't know if anybody else is having that struggle. Um, I'm kind of pulling back, and it's not because I'm traveling, because I'm always nomadic. Even when I lived in Austin, I'd work from my computer and my deals are in different states. It's
right.
I work from a computer, so it's not like, oh, I'm traveling, so I can't work. I'm always working. But just for me and how I want my summer to play out, I want to spend more time in nature and in silence. And I have some other things that I do that are actually becoming more exciting and more important to me. I'm actually not going to put any more deals longer than, now I'm at less than 5 years. So I'm doing a lot of notes I have a 6-month note right now. It's 100% AAR. 100%. And it's kind of just like, are you sure? It's a really good deal. It's crazy.
That's great.
It's where my house is being built.
I just invested in a note. I just invested in a note because people can't get financing. So this person who's building an urgent care needed construction dollars, and he came to me and some of my friends, and it's 12% for each year for 2 years, which I was very happy with. 12%. That's not 100%, but I like 12%.
Yeah, 100% silly. It's silly. The guy, he's just like, you're my friend. I want you to make some money. I'm like, okay.
But it's only 6 months, right? It's only
so it's 50. But if you put in 100 grand and you get 150 back in 6 months, I mean, that's pretty freaking awesome. So
awesome.
Yeah, this is where I'm building my house. It's a housing development called Sanctuary outside of Austin. It's a conscious community. And this guy, he's a young guy. He already had a software exit. He's got all of his money in this. And he's just here. He's one of these guys that's just like, give everybody, make everybody rich with you. And, the tide rises all ships. And his partners are kind of like, well, we don't really need to give that much away. He's like, but they're my friends.
Well, love that. So what is a conscious community? Tell us about that.
So there won't be any fences. They're really encouraging neighbors to know neighbors. There will be amphitheaters, family activities. It's kind of a community, living in community. There's a biohacking gym. So it's kind of eco luxury. It's very natural. There won't be like a bunch of grasses, it's all natural rock. And, they'll have even like a temple sacred space for people to come and worship however they choose to worship. And they're just really trying to bring us back into community and the human connection thing. So
in your switch from I want money to now I want silence, did that switch come from making a lot of money with your investments? Because now you have the freedom to do.
No,
it didn't. When did the switch? Why do you think the switch happened?
Well, I would say 2021 started a spiritual awakening for me. And 2023 was a big year where I went from the masculine force, hustle, money, whatever, to more feminine, receive, allow, be more intuitive. And so I've been following my heart more. And honestly, I'm making more money because I'm not forcing it. I'm not seeking it. I'm not chasing it. I'm allowing it to come. I'm listening to what my heart wants. And it's the weirdest thing. I'm resources after resources. And it doesn't always come in the form of money. It can come in the form of resources. Right. So, and I'm all about not paying taxes. So yeah, instead of paying me, just, take it off my down payment. Like this note I'm doing with Sanctuary, it's going to probably take $75,000 or $80,000 off of my house cost. And I won't have to pay taxes on that money because I'm not going to see it in my bank account.
Amazing.
So it's more of listening and receiving. And that's the huge shift, right? This like outward thing, the social media and putting yourself out there. And by no means am I telling anybody that it's wrong. It's not wrong. It's just for me, it doesn't feel authentic anymore. I would rather receive referrals than have to go and convince and sell somebody on what I have to offer them. I just am trusting that if I am putting out my gift to the world, my purpose and what I'm called to do, I am going to be paid for it and I will be supported. I'm learning to trust God, faith, universe, whatever. I'm trusting that and it's proving itself to me hand over fist. It's almost silly.
This is amazing. So early on you said, I did all these meetups and I met people. And then you said, I really don't want to raise money by putting stuff out on social. But you also said before our call, but I don't want to have like a lot of meetups. So, but you've got to meet people if you want. So talk about that.
Well, if I wanted to raise $100 million, I would have to go do all those things.
Yeah.
I'm raising, I think my fund is just hitting 3 million. I'm not over here like this isn't even my house. Okay. I'm house sitting because I'm nomadic. I'm living for free and I get to watch some pets. All right. I live very cheap. I have no kids.
How did you find that gig?
TrustedHouseSitters.com.
Amazing.
And after here, I'll go to Port Townsend and hang out at another beautiful multi-million-dollar home with a dog. Whatever. I'm in Boise. I'm like the best part of Boise. I can walk to Hyde Park. Whatever. These people are off in the Virgin Islands and I'm here with their beautiful golden retriever and cats. Like, hello.
That's amazing.
So I've created a lifestyle, right? And I'm willing to sleep in a stranger's bed and watch their pets to maintain my lifestyle. So it's not for everyone, especially if you're a mom or a spouse, it's not for everyone, my lifestyle, but I make enough money that I can get massages whenever I want and travel and treat myself. But I also can't be stupid. And I don't have a Prada purse and a Coach purse. Like I don't have a bunch of shoes. I have my car and everything else I own either it fits in my car and I have a couple things stored at my mom's house. Like that's it. I don't own a bunch of stuff. I'm not a slave to stuff. I'm not a slave to a yard to mow. I'm not a slave to a house to clean.
Amazing.
It's just a choice of lifestyle. It's not for everyone. A lot of people think I'm crazy, but
we have about 12 minutes, but early on before we got on, you said, yeah, some things suck. Some things, we make mistakes. Do you want to hear about the mistakes? I want to hear. What do you got? Give us your best.
Best mistakes
or something that happened.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a mistake. It's just something to be aware of. So in this line of business, there's a couple things. There's business, marriage, and divorce, right? When you have partners and you start a business together, it's all fun and dandy in the honeymoon phase. But when you're a couple years in, it's the grind. Some people just tap out. Maybe your company, like if I had a partner that needed income and they were in this with me, I'm sorry, they would have pieced out a long time ago. My partner has he has an income somewhere else. I'm just his side gig. And then the first partner I had, we already had business divorce. He's like, I can go make $500,000 a year he works at Chick-fil-A now or something, like up in Chick-fil-A, not like flipping burgers.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure.
But so you're committing for the long haul in a partnership. And if you're doing a syndication or a fund, like I don't get to quit my fund. Melanie wants to go play in the woods and do healer stuff. That's what Melanie wants to do. But Melanie committed to her investors, to her sponsors, and to this SEC that she is going to run this fund. Now, I can't be done with that. I guess I could sell it. I don't know, whatever. I'm not doing that because all my investors are my friends, people I know. I have 5 years that I have to work. But it's okay because it's like 2 hours a week. But it's something you have to think about. If you go launch a fund, like I almost made this mistake last year. Early 2023, I was launching a $25 million fund. I had some big partners that thought that they were going to raise a bunch of capital and we were going to do big deals. I got $8,000 in and realized nobody was as excited about it as me. And I said, nope. I just trusted. I walked away from the money and I'm so grateful that I made that call, because had I forced the partnerships, forced more money into it, I would have been miserable and it would have cost me a lot more money. So my heat of warning, it's not a mistake. It's just a reality. If you're committing to a partnership or real estate for the long haul, you don't get to quit. People have quit and dirtbags.
For sure.
My partner that quit, love him to death, but what a mistake I made. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He never should have come into my world. So just be very careful who you partner with. And then if you're going to do this line of business, just know you're in it for the long haul. And you can change. I changed, but just know it doesn't mean you get to quit this thing. You can start something new, but you're going to be doing it, and well, this one fizzles out. So I don't think anybody is going to be committed. I think that's an old way of living, is this like work for 20, 30, 40 years doing the same thing. I don't think we're the same humans. I don't think we're the same society. The reality is we stick to something for like 5 years and get bored, probably. So just keep that in mind. That's the warning that I would give people.
Yeah, instincts on people. I've picking bad partners. That's my number one lesson. Okay, so for the women watching who want to do this, like they said, okay, I've been watching your videos. I've been meeting all the women you've brought to us, Beth. I've come to the conference. I really want to do it. And they're saving their shekels, right? But maybe they're 35, 40 years old, and they're, close to having maybe 25 to 50 to start investing. What is your best advice for those young women? Like you're a young woman, much younger than me. So their first investment, what is your best advice for what should they do?
Passive or active?
Anything. You tell, like I say, be an LP first, right? Don't try to go buy a deal and run it yourself. Be an LP and watch what the GP does.
There's so many people that I started this journey with back in 2020, 2021. We'd see each other at all the conferences, and most of them are doing something else. Because I've started checking in. Hey, haven't talked to you in a while. What's going on? Oh, I quit real estate and now I have a cleaning business or something. I'm like, cool. I mean, it's happening to me too. I just have a different interest. Some people, they left because it wasn't paying the bills. Some people left because deals went south. Some people left because, like me, I'm just like, I'm going to follow this shiny object over here, and this is more fulfilling to me. So my point is, like, if they don't love this, they don't live and breathe it, if they don't go to every conference and just get high off of it, then just be an LP. It's not that exciting after a while. It's kind of like redundant, especially when deals aren't going well. And by the way, it's not fun when you're intertwined with other people's finances and it's on your shoulders.
And they're your friends and family.
And you really need to have the guts for that, because it's hard.
It's hard. You're so astute, or you're so intelligent about the funds and the promotes and the fees. And did all of that come from, do you think, all of these coaching programs you took? Like before, I know you said my partner's the numbers guy, but you're talking the language. You're not, you're a numbers person too. Did that come from education and books and classes and coaching programs, or were you just naturally that?
All of the above, plus podcasts. Just short of documentaries, because there aren't any about it.
What is it? The Bigger Pockets? What podcasts?
Back in the day was huge. Yeah, I listened to Bigger Pockets, and then I shifted. I don't know. I kind of shifted around as I went from small deals to big deals. I shifted from Bigger Pockets to like Hunter Thompson or, Michael Blanc. I'd go through these phases where I was listening to a certain one for a while. Honestly, no matter what I do in life, like my new thing that I am doing, it's all the conferences and all the books and all the podcasts and documentaries in this case. I am just a learner, and I don't start off smart. I'm not born with this. It's definitely not Maybelline. This is learned. It's hanging out with the right people. And my partner, I just am lucky. I've known him since I was in 8th grade. So of course he's going to help me out, but he works in the institution world. So I got the syndicator scrappy side, and I've got the institution side. And between the two of those, I've learned a lot over the time. It just takes time, and you've got to be in the industry. You've got to learn the lingo. You have to read the books, listen to the podcasts. And when
you do the deals, you learn when you do the deals, boy, don't you?
Yeah. And sometimes you learn because something bad happened. And you're like, oh, what's a rate cap? Interesting. Okay, well, there goes a bunch of millions of dollars. Yeah. A lot of people are learning a lot of lessons right now because that is a thing. This is the thing. Someone asked me at a conference once, or someone said, how do you get around imposter syndrome? And everybody on stage, it was like a panel. And they're like, answer this, answer that. And then we were about to move on to the next question. I'm like, no, wait, can I answer this question? Like, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't need to be doing this. This is not, if you're an imposter, go do something else. No, it's
That's
so real.
that's the clip.
Oh.
If you're an imposter, do something else.
It's sickening that people take people's money. If you're a good salesman and you know how to put a pitch deck together, but you don't know what you're doing, shame on you.
Yes.
And the best, like if they're really new and they want to get into this business, then just align yourself with someone who does know what they're doing so they can have your back. Don't go at this alone wondering how to get over imposter syndrome, because you're an imposter and you're going to lose people's hard-earned money, and then you're going to live with that for the rest of your life.
Which would be terrible. So I am so happy that you took time out of your house sitting opportunity in Boise in the $1 million. Is it a dog or cats or what?
I have a 4-year-old golden retriever, a Mr. Old like orange kitty, and then a black kitty up there in the, I don't know if you can see her in her bed.
Yes. Melanie, thank you so much for giving us some of your time on your travels. And I know, how can people, do you mind if some people would want to reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. Melanie at Freestyle Capital Group is my email, or you're welcome. I don't know, however, if you share stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm still on social media. It's a little different, and I'll respond eventually. I tend to not be on LinkedIn too much, just simply because all I get is targeted for whatever there.
I have Melanie at freestylecapital.com.
Capitalgroup.com.
Where did you come up with the name?
Freestyle, financial freedom, lifestyle design, put into one word, which is freestyle.
There you go. Thank you so much. Have a phenomenal summer nomading around. And you said you might be going to the Azores.
Well, it's Madeira Island, so I'm guessing it's closer to the Canaries. I've always been saying it's in the Azores, and does that have something to do with your last name?
You know, that's my ex-husband's last name, and I don't think he's from the Azores. But people always say, Azore, have you been to the Azores?
Right.
Not yet.
Madeira Island, so maybe it's not the Azores. I need to research that a bit. I've been saying that, but now I looked on a map, and they're closer to the Canaries than the Azores. It's the Portuguese islands of the Canaries.
Very fun. Well, how many more silent 24 hours are you going to do?
Well, my coach, because I have a coach, everybody should have a coach, right? And yeah, she said I should do that every month, once a month at least. She does like 3 days a month, and she just, it's a spiritual sort of, she's kind of more of a shaman sort of girl. It's where she gets all her information, her downloads, her insights.
I'm very excited about I think it'll be 45 days walking 500 miles. So I'm excited. There will be some silence.
I'm sure you'll run into some people, but you'll have lots of time to think. Try not to just always have something in your ears.
Exactly.
Be in silence.
Yeah. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm on the Facebook pages where there's people actually doing it right this like now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely, there'd be moments where I would not have anything so that I could enjoy and be present. I walk 4 times a week, about 4 miles. And there are times, I love podcasts and books on tape and all that. I love that. But there are times where I just listen to the birds and just listen and receive, like you said.
I truly believe that everything we need to know is already inside of us. There's a lot that goes on with our intuition, and it will serve you in investing for yourself or investing with other people. When you get that feeling like something a little bit off about this, you should just probably trust that.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, Melanie.
Bye.